Hello YouTube, today I'm coming at you with quite the abrasive title, but you're going to find that at the end of the video I was correct in using that terminology because steroids will indeed make you stupid. Now today I'm not going to talk about the toxicity of these products and what they do to your brain. That's a discussion for another day. Today I mostly want to speak about the shift in mindset and perspective that the consumption of PEDs is going to do to you as someone who is supposed to be a student of the game. Because you see, steroids is what I call the X factor. When you train and when you're serious about your physique and you want to develop a good looking physique, you have a bunch of factors to keep in mind. You can talk about your diet, you can talk about training, recovery, etc. All of these factors are important, and on top of that, you need to juggle them all at the same time. You can't just put all of your eggs in the nutrition basket and never train. That's not going to result in a good looking body. Therefore, it's a balancing act in a sense where you have to be on the ball 24/7 and you have to keep accumulating knowledge and refining what you know to keep progressing. That makes total sense. Steroids are the X factor because once you introduce them into the equation, they replace everything. And by that I mean that they are so potent, they are so capable of building mass that they are going to by default take the reins. They're going to become the most important thing in your life and in your regimen. Why? Because if you think about it logically, you prioritize in your training the things that give you the most gains. And since your steroid regimen is what is going to give you the most gains, if you're smart about it, you are going to make it your priority. But by being smart about it, you are going to become stupid because tiny bit by tiny bit, you're going to ignore the other facets of training until the only thing that is left is steroids. This is what I mean by X factor. It's also a big reason why I personally will never do steroids is because I already see the time and efforts I put into my programs, I put into actually training, I put into keeping up with my diet, etc., my recovery, all of that. And I'm thinking to myself, man, is there any space for me to add steroids? And the answer is no, which means that for me to add that X factor, I would need to make space and I would need to push away the rest. This is why you have guys who look amazing, who have amazing physiques, who know nothing about programming, even though programming is the key to a good-looking physique. Has it ever occurred to you the fact that so many of these pro bodybuilders have zero programming knowledge? Don't you find it strange that none of these guys really speak about volume, intensity, and frequency? None of these guys have advanced knowledge of any type of templates, any type of actual baseline manipulation. All of that flies right above their heads. Why? Because the X factor is all that matters. And it's interesting because some pro bodybuilders actually admit it, because they admit to have become chemists of sorts, to the point that they are involved in the topic of PED at such a high level that they have what could only be described as a pseudo degree in the matter. They know so much about these substances, these drugs. Why? Because they sort of have to. Even if you're really stupid, you're still going to be sort of cautious about what you put in your body. For the most part, you're going to do your research. And even if you don't care about health, like a lot of these guys do, you still care about if you get gains or not from them. So you're going to constantly observe what gives you the most muscle and you're going to push away the rest. But all of that time spent studying these things prevent you from studying the rest. And therefore, when you're put in front of an audience of people who don't do steroids, that X factor goes out the window. And now you're just stupid. It's the reason why so many enhanced guys on this platform give garbage advice. It's not really their fault. It's not like they woke up one day and thought, okay, today I want to make sure that none of my subscribers get results. No, they're stupid, they're not malevolent for the most part. What happens, you see, is that the X factor has taken such a big place in their life that it not only replaces things, it also taints them. So now they have programming knowledge, but that only applies to them, only applies to someone who is on drugs. And when you take that again out of the equation, the advice becomes utterly useless. But they don't realize that their cognitive dissonance is too strong. So they still dish out the advice, the people who take the advice get no results, and it creates frustration on both sides. And the problem is that for you, who might be considering going on PEDs, you need to understand it's going to happen to you as well. Because you are going to relinquish your natural status. And your natural status is what allows you to be the you that you are right now, with your mindset and your viewpoint and everything. When you take drugs, that changes. You're going to have to espouse a different viewpoint, and that viewpoint is going to make you stupid. So you want to avoid that at all costs. The reason why the majority of people who are really sharp on programming on this platform are naturals is not a mistake. It's because they don't have that X factor, and therefore they can really focus. Because the problem too with drugs is that you're going to stop learning, because you can just up the dose, or you can just do more chemistry on the side to get more results. So the training principles are going to be less important, and therefore you are going to at some point create a block for yourself where you're not going to be able to evolve. And the issue is that in programming, there's always something new you can learn. You can always tweak something. And that is what, at the end of the day, makes me a capable source of information. It's because these are principles I apply in my training and I constantly think about them. Because they are my X factor. Let's call it the Y factor. And between the Y factor and the X factor, yes, one will give you more gains. Yes, it'll make you blow up faster and everything. But at the end of the day, none of it is transmissible, right? It's not like you can take all of the gains you got from Rohit and give them to someone else. Whereas knowledge can be passed down. This is why also the natural way is the pure way. It's what you want, is because it turns you into someone that can teach. Drugs don't make you capable of teaching. You can teach other people how to take drugs, great. But can you teach them how to make it without it? No, you relinquish that ability. And that is a problem that I hear all the time on this platform. It's a garbage argument. People say, oh, people who take drugs must know more than naturals because taking drugs is the natural graduation from being a natural. As if people who take drugs have just completed the natural level, like they fulfilled it, they aced it, so they moved on. That's never what happens. Once you take drugs, you're not a natural, yes, that's true, but it doesn't mean that you're done. If anything, it means that you fled. It means that you're a coward, that you couldn't keep progressing on the natural path, that the Y factor was not enough for you because of your P brain, and that you had to turn to the X factor for gains. That's the truth. And therefore, I'm going to turn that argument on its head. No, PED users don't know more than naturals, they know less because they had to recourse to PEDs to keep progressing. We don't. We can stay on the right and narrow path and still make progress because we have a brain and we use it. We didn't replace our brains with trend. And that at the end of the day is what you want to be, because the day you can't take your drugs anymore, what happens? The X factor vanishes and you have nothing to show. For people like us who train, even if your hormonal profile crashes and you lose the muscle, guess what? The knowledge is still here. You can still help your little brothers. You can still grow the next generation of natural lifters. And if there's something more beautiful than that, I don't know what it is. And I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.